Alright, hello everyone. Today we will be doing this poem from the book Flamingo, grade 12th CBSE board. The name of this poem is My Mother at 66. This poem is written by the poetess Kamala Das. First, let's talk about the poetess a little. The poet here was Kamala Das, was born in Malabar, Kerala. She is recognized as one of India's foremost poets. Her works are known for their originality, versatility, and the indigenous flavor of the soil. Kamala Das has published many novels and short stories in English and Malayalam under the name Madhava Gutti. Some of her works in English include the novel Alphabet of Lust, a collection of short stories, Padmavati, The Harlot, and the other stories. In addition to the 5 books of poetry, she is a sensitive writer who captures the complex subtitles of human relationships in lyrical idiom. My Mother at 66 is an example of such a poem. Okay, so they are saying that Kamala Das basically is a poet who write poems which are really sensitive and emotional by nature, and it doesn't deal with complex titles, but very simple titles, but they are complex in terms of human relationships. Okay, Mother at 66 is one of those examples, which is the poem is based on the relationship between a mother and the daughter. Let's read this poem. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me, doors open mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and relished with pain that she was as old as she looked, but soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, worn, pale, and a late winter's moon, and felt that old, familiar ache, my childhood's fear. But all I said was, "See you soon, Amma." All I did was smile and smile and smile. So basically, this poem is full of emotions. It talks about the relationship between a mother and a daughter, a very cherished and loving relationship, of course, which most of you students might be experiencing right now with your mom, especially a girl child. The girls out there can understand this relationship really better. Let's start with the explanation of the poem. Driving from my parents. So what is happening here? The setting of this poem is in a car, and the poetess Kamala Das basically is traveling from her parents' home. Cochin last Friday morning to Cochin last Friday morning. So she is actually she might have come to her parents' house to visit them, and now it's the time for her to leave her parents' house and go back to her place where she resides, which is Cochin. So the setting was of Friday morning, and usually the poem takes place in a car when the poetess is looking at her mom's face in the car and whatever she is thinking about in terms of an emotional inclination. So, driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me. So, the poet here is saying that I was driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, And while on my way, I saw my mother beside me. So while she was driving back to Cochin last Friday, she actually saw her mother, who was sitting beside her in the car. So she's describing the face and the physique of her mother by saying, "Doze, open mouth, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and relished with pain." So she's saying doze. Um, she sits beside me. Doze means feels very sleepy. Okay, so unki mom is feeling really sleepy, and she is dozing. She is taking a short nap. Of course, in old age, people take very short naps because they feel very dizzy, very sleepy quite often. So the same thing is happening with the mom. So she is dozing. She is taking a very short nap beside her, sitting inside the car, open mouth. And while she was sleeping, her mouth was opened, her face ashen like of a corpse, and her face looks like ash, राख की तरह उनका face लग रहा है, colorless, very pale, just similar to that of a corpse, एक dead body की तरह उनका face लग रहा है, and relished with pain. सो और फुल ऑफ उनका फेस ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे इट्स फुल ऑफ पेन, वेरी 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 पेनफुल काइंड ऑफ एक्सप्रेशंस आर देयर ऑन हर face, that she was as old as she looked. So she's looking as old, that she was as old as she looked. So बहुत old लग रही हैं with the wrinkles on her face. She is looking very very old. But soon put that thought away, or poet इस thought को she wanted to throw that thought away, and just in order to do that, and looked out at young trees sprinting. तो उन्होंने बाहर देखा दूसरी तरफ कार की विंडो के. सो व्हाट शी saw was शी लुक्ड एट द यंग ट्रीज स्प्रिंटिंग. तो उन्होंने यंग ट्रीज़ को देखा. अब ट्रीज़ को यंग कहा गया है यहाँ पे, एक पर्सोनिफिकेशन का यूज़ करा है, राइट. तो देयर इज़ अ कॉन्ट्रास्ट विच इज़ बीइंग क्रिएटेड बिटवीन वन साइड ऑफ हर वाज हर मदर, द पिक्चर ऑफ अ मदर was portrayed by the poet, which is really old, aged, and right on the other side it's just talking about young trees. Is referring to the trees as very young, merry children. तो बच्चों की बात हो रही है. So a very good contrast is being created between the two sides. सो शी लुक्ड आउट एट यंग ट्रीज स्प्रिंटिंग. सो दूसरे साइड जब वो देखती हैं तो ऐसा लग रहा था कार में बैठ के जैसे यंग ट्रीज़, बहुत ही यंग ट्रीज़ आर स्प्रिंटिंग, वो ग्राउंड से एकदम से बाहर निकल रहे हैं. ओके, सो द ट्रीज़ आर स्प्रिंट. हम जब कार में बैठते हैं तो व्हेन वी लुक आउटसाइड द ट्रीज सीम्स टू बी मूविंग बैकवर्ड्स. तो ऐसा लगता है दैट द ट्रीज़ आर, तो यंग क्यों कहा गया, बिकॉज दे आर वेरी ग्रीन, वेरी लाइवली looking. So they seem to be sprinting, जैसे वो ground से एकदम से बाहर निकल रहे हैं. They are popping up from the ground, which is a usual scene when we sit inside the car and when we look out the trees, as if they are sprinting, coming out from the ground suddenly. The merry children spilling out of their homes, and very cheerful children, they are coming out of their homes. बट आफ्टर द एयरपोर्ट सिक्योरिटी चेक, तो अब क्या हुआ, अब एक सेटिंग चेंज होती है और वो एयरपोर्ट पे पहुंच चुकी हैं. तो लेकिन उसके बाद क्या होता है, जैसे ही एयरपोर्ट सिक्योरिटी का चेक होता है, स्टैंडिंग एट अ फ्यू यार्ड्स. तो जब वो चेक हो चुका है एयरपोर्ट सिक्योरिटी का, तो जो पोर्ट है वो शी इज़ स्टैंडिंग एट अ फ्यू स्टेप्स, फ्यू यार्ड्स फ्रॉम हर मदर, फ्यू यार्ड्स अवे फ्रॉम हर मदर. और वो देख रही हैं, आई लुक अगेन एट हर. तो उन्होंने फिर से एक बार मुड़ के अपनी मदर को देखा. शी सॉ हर मदर वंस अगेन. तो फिर से डिस्क्राइब करा जा रहा है हाउ हर मदर लुक्स. वैन, पेल. तो वो बहुत ही वैन, बहुत ही ओल्ड विथ रिंकल्ड फेस, और बहुत पेल, एक पीली सी येलोइश लग रही थी बिकॉज ऑफ द ओल्ड एज. एज अ लेट विंटर्स मून। तो यहाँ कंपैरिजन किससे करा है, लेट विंटर्स मून। अब लेट विंटर्स मून कैसा होता है, बहुत ही धुंधला सा होता है लेट विंटर्स मून, बिकॉज फॉगी फॉगी एनवायरनमेंट रहता है। सो लेट विंटर का मून बहुत ही डल लगता है देखने में, एंड बहुत ही फॉगी रहता है, तो धुंधला लगता है। तो मदर की पिक्चर को, मदर की साइड को उसी से कंपेयर करा जा रहा है, लाइक अ विंटर्स मून। तो मॉम भी उनकी वैसे ही पेल कलरलेस लग रही हैं, डल लग रही हैं, who has lost all brightness because of the old age and felt that old familiar ache। और पोइट को ये सब देख के वही familiar, अपना वही पुराना दर्द याद आ गया। ओके, वही पुराना एक मीन्स दर्द, वो दर्द याद। अब वो दर्द क्या है, familiar क्यों कहा है, क्योंकि वो बहुत बहुत पुराना एक दर्द है, बहुत ही जाना माना सा, जाना पहचाना सा वो एक पेन है, एक फ़ियर है उनके हार्ट में कहीं। सो लेट्स सी व्हाट इज़ दैट फ़ियर, माय चाइल्डहुड्स फ़ियर। तो वो कहती हैं मेरा चाइल्डहुड फ़ियर है वो, बट ऑल आई सेड वॉज। तो चाइल्डहुड फ़ियर उनका क्या हो सकता है, ऑफ कोर्स ऑफ लूजिंग हर मदर। तो जैसे यू नो ये एक बहुत ही कॉमन सा इमोशन है when most of us look at our parents who are growing old। तो एक बहुत ही बड़ा सा fear होता है within our hearts, deep within our hearts, that कहीं हम खो ना दें अपने पेरेंट्स को। तो वही सेम familiar एक उनके पास भी है जो चाइल्डहुड से ही है, तो उससे काफ़ी familiar हो चुकी हैं, that you know the fear of losing her mother। but all I said was, तो फर्स्ट पर्सन में है तो वो कह रही हैं बट मैंने ये सब इग्नोर करते हुए मैंने सिर्फ एक बात अपने आप से कही, ऑल आई सेड वॉज सी यू सून अम्मा। तो उन्होंने सिर्फ एक बात कही सारे थॉट्स को इग्नोर करके, और एक पॉजिटिव वाइब को अपने अंदर ला के, दैट सी यू सून। क्योंकि वो साउथ की हैं तो वहाँ पे मदर को अम्मा से कह के रेफ़र करा जाता है, सो शी सिंग सी यू सून अम्मा। तो डायलेक्ट जो है पोम का वो बहुत ही यू कैन से रीजनल और लोकल डायलेक्ट यूज़ करा गया है बाय यूजिंग दिस वर्ड अम्मा। ऑल आई डिड वॉज, एंड वॉट शी डिड आफ्टर सेइंग बाय सी यू सून अम्मा, दैट मीन्स फिर मिलूँगी, फिर मिलेंगे अम्मा, शी ऑल शी डिड वॉज स्माइल एंड स्माइल एंड स्माइल। तो ये जो रेपिटेशन है स्माइल, दिस इज़ अगेन अ डिवाइस, फिगरेटिव डिवाइस विच इज़ यूज्ड हियर। सो स्माइल, पहले स्माइल का मतलब है द realization of the poet basically of you know somewhere losing her mother and that childhood fear। second smile का मतलब है that you know she recollected all her strength, okay, and she told herself that no, we will be meeting soon। और थर्ड स्माइल का मतलब है द पॉजिटिव होप that she brought in her mind once again while leaving her mother, right? So let's talk about the figurative devices here. So the figurative devices are most prominent ones are when you see here her face or ashen like that of a corpse। सो उनके फेस को कंपेयर करा गया है एक डेड बॉडी के फेस से। सो सिमिली इज़ बीइंग यूज्ड, एनालॉजीज़ का यूज़ है, दैट मीन्स कंपैरेटिव फिगरेटिव डिवाइसेस का यूज़ है। तो एनालॉजीज़ में मोस्ट कॉमन इज सिमिली। सो सिमिली का यूज़ करा गया है यहाँ पे बाय टॉकिंग लाइक बाय कंपेयरिंग हर फेस विद दैट ऑफ अ कॉर्प्स। Then when we'll proceed personification because she is referring to the trees as young। तो ह्यूमनिस्टिक कैरेक्टरिस्टिक दी गई है नॉन ह्यूमन ऑब्जेक्ट्स को, लाइक ट्रीज़ को ह्यूमन की तरह रेफ़र करा गया है बाय रेफरिंग टू दैम एज यंग। सो personification is used। Then when you proceed अगेन एज अ लेट विंटर्स मून। सो अगेन यहाँ पे सिमिली का यूज़ करा गया है बिकॉज उनके फेस को फिर से विंटर्स मून से कंपेयर करा जा रहा है। And then last line, which is using repetition. Of course, apart from all these things, पूरी poem में एक imagery का use है. What is imagery? When while reading anything we create pictures of something in our mind. तो हम एक beautiful picture create कर सकते हैं while reading the poem, especially of when we look outside of the car or a moving vehicle. We see those trees sprinting, and the jovial cheerful children spilling out of their homes. So we can create a very good image in our mind while reading this poem. So this poem has in the use of beautiful use of imagery. Apart from this, of course, the author has used the concept of emotions, catharsis, very beautifully. The concept of emotions is used beautifully in the poem. So all in all, the use of words, the recollection of those words in the form of stanzas um, and verses is very beautifully done and very emotively brought together. So I hope you have understood this poem really well. So let's just quickly discuss about a few questions which are given here in the book. What is the kind of pain and ache that the poet feels? So what is the kind of pain and ache that the poet feels? The pain was that of losing her mother after seeing her old and pale face as she is growing old. Okay, so next is, why are the young trees described as sprinting? So the young trees are described as sprinting because when the poet is seeing those trees from a moving car, and when we see any thing, especially the trees by the side of the road, they seem to be coming out of the ground suddenly. So it seems as if they are sprinting backwards because of the moving vehicle. This is why it is described as sprinting. Now ट्रीज़ को स्प्रिंटिंग के फॉर्म में डिस्क्राइब करने का एक और रीज़न हो सकता है पोएट का, बिकॉज the poet might be thinking that the time is running very fast, okay, and as if we are losing things with time, especially her mom and the cherished moments with her mom, as if she's losing those moments. So this can be a comparison between the situation and the sprinting description of the sprinting trees. Why has the poet brought in the image of the merry children spilling out of their homes? Okay, so the poet brought this image of merry children spilling out of their homes to create a very good balanced contrast between the old age and the young age. Okay, so the kind of pain and the jovial and free mind of the children when we are kids. That is the beautiful time. Our mind is free of all kind of pain and all kind of painful thoughts. So this is a contrast which is created by the poet beautifully by mentioning about the merry children spilling out of their homes. Why has the mother been compared to the late winter's moon? Because the mother is growing old and her face covered with wrinkles and colorless. It looks colorless like ash, very pale. So this is why it is being compared with that of a late winter's moon, because the late winter's moon actually is covered with fog. बहुत धुंध होती है, is covered with fog and it looks very dull and lifeless. What do the parting words of the poem and her smile signify? So the parting words of the poet actually signifies a hope that she is going to meet her amma once again, and the repetition of the word smile signifies her the realization of her mother's growing age and her a very long familiar pain of losing her mother, but again a positive note that she brings in with that smile, that she will definitely come back and meet her amma and see her amma alive and healthy once again. Okay, so see, this is all about the poem. Now just the last note about the poem. Here it says that while the poem is in a single sentence, of course, please note this, that this poem is a very short poem, but this is a poem written in one single sentence. The beauty of the writing style of the poet in one single sentence, by placing commas at different change of thoughts, punctuated by commas. So it is only punctuated by commas and it is written as one single sentence. It indicates a single thread of thought, uh, okay, interspersed with observations of the real world around and the way these are connected to the main idea. So you know why maybe this poem is recollected as one sentence by the poet is that means everything is interconnected and it talks about just one particular main theme. The whole poem talks about the pain of losing the mother of Amma's growing age. Okay, and the last line, if you see, after smile there are dots which are used, a series of dots which indicates that she left that place, she left her amma with a very positive note that she is going to come back once again and meet her amma. So I hope you like this poem, a very beautiful short poem written by this author, and hope you liked it. If you have any doubts, any queries, and you want more of such explanations of CBSE English lessons, please do write to me in the comment section, and I'll be back with another poem very soon. So just mention how you liked my style of teaching and explanation, and आपको समझ में आया नहीं आया. अगर कहीं आप कुछ और एडिशनल एक्सप्लेनेशंस चाहते हैं, सो जस्ट डू राइट टू मी एंड प्लीज़ डू शेयर, लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब दिस वीडियो अगर आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं करा है तो. सो थैंक यू सो मच, बाय बाय, हैव अ नाइस डे.